Good morning, Digit fam. Adam Doud here with another update on all the tech news you need to know because it's what I do. And fun fact, if you wanted to start singing the 12 Days of Christmas, start today. Actually, all the holidays are late in the month this year. Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and my favorite, Boxing Day in Canada. And the reason that's my favorite is because it's kind of like the day after Thanksgiving in America. There's really no reason why everyone should have it off, but everyone does, and they usually go shopping, or watch hockey, or both, and sometimes at the same time. So, since we'll all be celebrating our respective holidays later in the month, let's get to the news early in the month. It is December 12th, 2019, and this is your Digit Daily. Not everyone is happy with the Snapdragon 865, which is the processor that will be powering a majority of flagship smartphones in 2020. In 2019, most flagships use the Snapdragon 855, so it's a natural step up. It's 25% faster, has new camera features, faster download speeds, and better AI. It's a horse. But Ron Amadeo over at Ars Technica isn't convinced. The problem is that Qualcomm didn't include the modem on the chip. Qualcomm has done that with its predecessors. Qualcomm even talked about why that was the best approach back in 2012. Plus, it included the modem on the mid-range chips, the Snapdragon 765 and the 765G. Amadeo says, quote, putting the 4G and 5G on a giant extra chip means smartphones are going to have to use way more power no matter which cell network you're connected to. When 5G networks are only going to be in their infancy in 2020, this sounds like an across-the-board downgrade to me. And first of all, giant extra chip? Drama much? But the fact of the matter is, adding a second chip to the 865 processor will take up more room and be less efficient. When 4G first started rolling out, Qualcomm did the same thing with its 4G modems, extra chip or GTFO. Phones that year suffered from battery issues, but whether or not that was the result of the extra chip or not is fairly debatable. Rob Triggs, aka the smartest guy in the room, had this to say about it, and you'll have to bear with me here. There's a quote within a quote. It's like quoteception or something. Rob says, quote, interestingly, the Snapdragon 865 and X55 modem pairing is more efficient at 4G LTE than the Snapdragon 855's integrated X24 modem. Amon explained that, quote, the architecture has not compromised battery life, and the new solution actually offers a better day of 4G use than its predecessor. Using an external modem won't have a negative impact on battery life when you're in an area with only 4G coverage. So what does that mean? In theory, in a lab, the 865 chip and modem pairing is actually better than the integrated modem on the 855, so that might actually mean more battery savings overall, again, in a lab, in theory. It also means that when you're in a 4G area, you'll be fine. Okay, what about when you're in a 5G area? Amon didn't expound upon that, which is weird. But we'll find out soon enough. When the first 2020 flagships start rolling out with the new 865 chip, we'll be able to see the effects firsthand. Everyone is going to be using the 865, well, anyone that doesn't have an Apple sticker anyway, so it's not a question of if, it'll be a question of when we'll find out. The bottom line here is, we won't see an 800 series Snapdragon with an integrated modem until next year. So for now, put your head down, grab your knees, and pray that Rob is right and not Ron Amadeo. But for now, let's head into the roundup. Android Authority got some inside info today at Oppo's innovation conference going on in Shenzhen, and we discovered that Oppo has a successor coming to the Find X from 2018, and we're likely to see it sooner rather than later. The Find X, which actually came out before the Digit Daily existed, is a phone with a 92.5 screen-to-body ratio, so basically there's no bezel at all, and it employed a slider mechanism to open up both the front-facing and rear-facing cameras. As it happens, Oppo also showed off more of its under-screen camera technology at the same conference, so if the Find X's jam is not having any bezels, this would seem like a good use case for that tech. We'll likely see the phone in the first quarter of 2020, so you can be sure the Digit Daily will be watching. With all due respect to my colleague Doud over at Android Authority, I'm going to politely disagree with his assessment that the Amazon Echo Studio is the best smart speaker you can buy. It may be the best sounding, I won't argue that point, but having Alexa on board as opposed to, a real smart assistant, Anyway, Dhruv came away impressed with the speaker, and to his credit, he lives in India, and I've heard, though I can't confirm, that Google Assistant is something of a dumpster fire outside of the US, so I'm not going to argue this point too vehemently, but I will move on to the next story. In a somewhat bold statement, Tim Cook argued that monopolies in business are not bad if they're not abused, which, sure, one could argue that a lot of things in this world aren't bad as long as they're handled appropriately, but humans being who we are, we generally go ahead and abuse something if and when it suits our purpose. And in business, that purpose is usually money, so yeah, abusers gonna abuse. Tim has also spent the last decade arguing that no part of Apple is a monopoly, so I'm not even sure why this came up except for the fact that in some ways, Apple is totally a monopoly. Well, this is creepy. Hackers broke into a family's Ring security camera and spoke to one of the children through the speaker. The article is a long-ish read, but the gist of it is a hacker used the family's weak password to access their Ring app and monitor the camera that way. So I guess don't make your password, even if it has a capital P. One reason I'm glad to have bought into Google's ecosystem is my Google account has two-factor authentication turned on, so no one could break into my Nest account even if they had my password. But still, putting internet-connected cameras inside your home comes with its share of risk, as this family learned the hard way. As much as the US healthcare system sucks, and boy does it suck gigantic donkey balls, I can take comfort in the fact that at least I haven't had to buy fish antibiotics for myself, because that's what some people are actually doing. Fish antibiotics are unregulated and therefore cheaper than people antibiotics. However, the fact that they're unregulated opens up all kinds of doors to issues like possible overdose or simply not getting what's on the label. And that doesn't even mention the possibility of growing gills or forgetting everything every 10 seconds. So if you find yourself in a position of having to decide whether to go to the doctor or self-medicate from a fishbowl, just lie down, have some soup, and see how you feel in the morning. And finally, mark your calendars for May 21st, 2021. Plan to call in sick or whatever you have to do because The Matrix 4 and John Wick 4 are both set to drop on that date. It's going to be a Keanu-palooza, and I'm fairly sure Tristan and I are both planning on skipping out on the Digitaily that day so that we can take our full beards and trench coats to the theater and watch Keanu Reeves come back from the dead at least once that day, if not more. So that's going to do it for today's Digitaily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about digitdailypod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Doud, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again tomorrow.